Hello, everybody. Howdy, howdy. Hey, happy Thursday. Thank you for joining me again here. I hope you all had a great week. I hope you all had a great weekend. To recap my Saturday, it was really, really fun at the family reunion. Thank you for asking. How nice of you to ask. No, it was a really good time. I was happy to see these people. I mean, these are family members I haven't gotten to see in decades, unfortunately, kind of just grew apart once my grandpa passed away when I was younger. So it's really, really, really nice to be able to reconnect with them. They have a beautiful, beautiful property and a humongous pond that's just like notoriously known throughout the family. And they have a rope that you swing off of and jump in. So I did that again for old time's sake. I did think the pole was going to snap. However, adult grown men were jumping in there all the time, but just for me, I was like, it's going to be my luck because it always is. It'll be my luck that the pole fucking snaps in half and I'm just fucking slamming into the pond. But it was super fun. I've done that a million times as a kid. Just wanted to do it one last time. I don't know when we'll be back there, and I don't necessarily know if I would rope jump again. But one of the one of the funny moments from the day is after I jumped in and was swimming around, and I was swimming around in that pond for a bit. Like my upper body is still fucking sore. I don't know what swimming does to the muscles, you guys, but damn. When I got out of the pond, we all went to grab food. We were eating. This little boy came over. Mind you, any of the kids, I really have no idea who they are, unfortunately. I know their parents a little bit from when I was younger, but I don't know them. So he sits down with like me, my parents, and a couple other people, and my mom was just asking questions, just to make conversation with him, to be nice. He was probably like 6 or 7 years old, and my mom was like, "How's the pond? Did you have fun swimming in it? Is it cold in there?" And he's like, "No, it's not too bad considering I peed in it 3 times. It's pretty warm." And I'm thinking about me just swimming in there, and I was like, "Okay." And then I look over and I see the 20 other kids that are under 10 years old who probably have been using that pond all day as a public bathroom. And I was like, I'm going to go shower immediately. Actually, that's my next step is I'm going to go hop in the shower because now I'm grossed out. But anyway, it was super fun to see everyone. Glad I got to go. They were funny. The kids were funny. The kids were cute, but yeah, it was a really, really good event. Another note I wanted to bring up is last episode I talked about basically my medication deficit, the importance of medication, from my viewpoint and everything. And I just want to say I'm so thankful for all the amazing people in my life. Even though we don't get to talk every day, they still show their support and love, and I hope that these people know I will always show my support and love for them. But a particular friend reached out after hearing my episode, which, first of all, again, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And they told me they were able to help get my medication for me, and they did. The hero of the month, honestly. They were able to get my medication prescribed, and I was able to pick it up. I will say here is my shout out about GoodRx that this friend also informed me on. I've heard about GoodRx like through social media kind of being brought up sporadically and just kind of never really looked into it, which was a mistake on my end because whether you are getting like prescribed medication or just anything from a doctor wise, please use GoodRx. If you are picking up any sort of medication prescription, it is insanely cheaper on there. And for someone like me, again, if you've been following along, unfortunately, I did find myself in unemployment a little bit earlier into the summer due to my last job. So I don't have insurance. And being able to be provided this option to where it's not $100 a pill bottle for me, and I didn't have to see a psychiatrist for $400 to be able to have access to my medication is enormous because it is difficult not to be taking the medication that you are prescribed to be a human again. So this is my special shout out to that very, very, very amazing friend. Again, like I said, I always appreciate the love and support, and I hope all of my friends know that whether we don't talk every day or talk all the time, I am always here to love and support you as well. So thank you for going out of your way to do that. Um, Kind of brought up another point I wanted to talk about real quick is I know especially me trying to be like independent and do everything, it can be difficult for someone to like ask for help in situations. And I don't know if I necessarily would have reached out to anyone about my medication, but there's so many other things I think that we try to do on our own that we could just ask for help for. I know when I was at my last job looking for a new job, my friend Sabrina was able to help get me an interview with her company that has a location down here. Unfortunately, the current job I was at offered me a new position, and I took that over the interviewed position. And Sabrina, if you're listening, I still kick my fucking self in the ass every day for that because obviously, how we know, 3 weeks later, my job terminated me. So I really wish I would have taken that position. I'm an idiot for not doing it. But things like that. I mean, another connection example is I was talking at the family reunion how I really wanted a quote new job. One of the ladies there gave me the LinkedIn information of her daughter, who's a very successful marketing position out on the West Coast. Told me to reach out to her, ask for any tips, any job opportunities, things like that, which is huge. Obviously, like I just said, the medication one, my friend was able to help get all my medication. While being unemployed, you're assigned basically like an unemployment officer who's supposed to help you make sure you're staying on track looking for jobs, making sure that you know of all your resources that are available. And I asked her for help. You know, I said I'm struggling paying some bills. I'm struggling getting groceries because unemployment is not a job. It is not necessarily a livable amount when a large majority of it just goes to rent, not considering every other bill that I have to pay. So she helped me get into resources to help with groceries, to help my utility bill at the moment. And that's huge. So that's just my little dig into right now to just to be open to asking people for help. You don't know who people know or what people are able to do to just help better your situation. So thankful for all of that, and again, thankful, so extremely and incredible thankful for that friend for helping me get my medication. And I know it hasn't been a week yet on it, and it's been a while since I've been off my medication. But I think it's just a little bit of like a placebo effect right now, just feeling like, oh, I'm taking it. I feel better. But I definitely know within the next couple days here, once we get past like the week mark, it's just going to start to set back into my system here and just help me out a little bit more. Um, for today's episode, I wanted to go over 3 college stories. Three three good ones. I One of them is like one of my all-time favorites that I'm going to say today. But I just wanted to give a little reminder if you are new here, new watching the video. A lot of my college experiences involved a lot of bad things. A lot of bad things that being unemployed right now and looking for a job and not having the podcast be my main or any source of income. I'm not quite ready to go into full detail on a lot of college stories, just because I can't afford to risk anything at the moment. So sometimes the stories are going to be a little bit coded, but I'm still able to tell a lot of them. And I had to pick 3 because I originally was going to do 5. This is like my third take doing this episode because I originally tried to do 5, realized I couldn't fit it, so then I did 4. But then it was still like over 45 minutes long, and I try to keep everything under 40. Just I try my best to keep it around 35, like 32 to 35 is where I like to keep it. So I immediately was like, that one's not going to work. And then one of the stories, I was like, why did I even tell that? That actually wasn't beneficial to say at all. It wasn't even funny. I don't even know why I said that one. So now I'm redoing it again with 3. And again, 3 is just because of the time restraint. If you look at the titles of a lot of my other episodes, the Sorry Mom podcast name started because this is just about like craziness that I've been through, lessons that I've learned, everything like that, and everything in between. But also just is like my podcast, my little diary. So there's also things that I'm currently going through, but pretty much everything that I'm going through now relates to what happened in college and what I did in college to get me here. But every once in a while, yes, I am going to be doing these episodes where I where I do out myself on some of these stories just to give you guys a little bit of that podcast experience that I think some people originally thought the podcast was going to be about, was just kind of me coming on here and talking about all the crazy, horrible things that happened, that I went through, that I was involved with. And we'll get there eventually. I thank you for being patient and being here all along. And again, if you are new and joining, I encourage you to just wait it out, because I know at one point I will be able to dive into all the crazy details of everything. So this is just an episode, again, going through three, one super favorite, and then two other kind of like side stories as well of my college experience. So we are going to start off strong with one of my all-time favorite college stories. So it was more often than not waking up in the morning that I did not recollect the night before. Maybe only remembered until 10 o'clock. Knew maybe I got home around 4, so there was quite a few hours in between that we're not quite sure what was going on. Like, it was very, very, very common. Humongous drinker in college, obviously, which unfortunately led to a lot of nights of no memory. So I wake up in this morning. My friend's in the room with me. I go downstairs. I'm getting some water from the kitchen, and I notice there's this bag on the counter. And I'm like, it's not my purse. I know it's not my friends. It's not any of my roommates. I know what they have. So my first initial thought was, I was like, did we invite people after the bar, like to come back to the apartment? Did I tell people to come here? Is there someone still in the apartment sleeping that I am unaware of that I don't know? Which are all extremely possible with how college went. Any of those scenarios could have happened. But I wasn't really like thinking too much. I go back upstairs to my friend and I'm like, do you know whose bag that is downstairs? And my friend looks at me and he's like, yeah, we were both pretty drunk at the bar last night, and I dared you to take that person's bag home with you. And I was like, what? I'm like, oh my God. I, for one, absolutely know what it's like to wake up the next morning and not have a phone, not have a wallet, not have your debit card, not have purse, not have your keys, to not have anything. And it is traumatizing. I hated that. I hated waking up and being like, great, there's another debit card gone. Don't know where that is. Better check and make sure someone didn't spend money. Or great, no idea where my phone is. Guess hopefully someone can use Find My Friends to figure out where it is. Like, it's a horrible feeling. And I'm like, fuck, I caused that for someone. I look on my Snapchat because, again, I was notorious for recording any and everything. And let me just say, if you followed me on Snapchat at the time and you agree and you're like, hell yeah, bitch, you posted so much crazy shit. Let me just tell you, that is not even like a tenth of what did not get posted on my Snapchat that I would scroll through the mornings after. And this was a video of like me and my friend leaving the bar. It's just a short walk from the bar to my apartment, like down the road. Just go behind the bar, walk back. And it's of the pavement of our shadows. And in my shadow, you can see me holding the purse going, we didn't do anything. And I'm like skipping and frolicking down the road. And I'm like, oh my God, I really took that. Thankfully, my friend and I, despite how insanely drunk we were, even in our drunkest state, had no intention of doing anything negative to this person's belongings. Nothing was touched or missing or anything like that. But I did want to open it up to find the ID, because I was like, maybe we can find this person on Facebook. Twitter was huge at the time because it was nothing like it is now. And there was a lot of Western Michigan pages that were used to like connect people. You'd see all the time on a page like, hey, set of keys found on this road. Hey, this wallet was found at this person's house party, like things like that. And I don't remember why we ended up not reaching out and doing that, but I just remember I wanted to call the bar that we were at that I unfortunately took this from. So when the bar opened up in the morning, around 11, I called and I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. I had to be like, "Hey, I was at the bar last night, sitting up at the bar, and I think I accidentally grabbed someone else's purse instead of my own, trying to cover up my freaking bullshit." And it was either a manager or the owner that I was speaking to, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, that person's been calling all morning asking if anyone found anything, da 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 da." I'm like, great. Again, I knew that was gonna happen. I feel even worse. I have all of her shit here. And I was like, I am so sorry. I'll come bring it to you right now. So my friend and I get in the car with the bag. I walk into the bar hungover as shit. Like I look like a fucking disaster, but I just wanted this item off my hands that was not mine. Bring it to the bar, bring it to the lady, and she's like, "Oh my god, she was so worried about this purse." She's like, "Do you know if everything is still in it?" She was saying that there was an Apple Watch and her wallet was still in there. And so she opens it up, and I was like, "Yeah, everything should still be in there. I didn't take anything out of it." And she was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, everything's in here. Thank you so, so much. We really, really appreciate it." And now I'm like, "Oh yeah, like of course, I'm so sorry I grabbed the wrong bag." Just feeling like shit. Like, oh my god. Finally happy to have it like out of my hands. Like I returned it. We didn't even take a penny out of there. The purse got returned to the rightful owner. So of course, per usual, we're getting through our hangover. We're working through it, and we're like, we want to go out again tonight. We're getting ready. We're going out to the same bar. This bar in Kalamazoo was called the Goat, and it was hit or miss sometimes. Like you could get right in, get right to a table, get right to the bar, and there could be like 10 other people in there, or you could be waiting in an astronomically long line outside of the bar, and it could take you 45 minutes to an hour to get in, based on how busy it was. So this particular night was extremely busy. Me and my friend were waiting in line, probably about halfway through the line, so maybe only had like 20-ish, 25 minutes more to go to get in. But we're waiting, and the same owner who I returned the purse to that morning went to come outside to talk to one of the bouncers. You know, the guy standing outside checking IDs. I don't know if she was saying, "Hey, you can let more people in," or whatever instructions he was giving him. She came out to talk to him, and her and I made eye contact, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, those are the people that returned the purse this morning." Da 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 da, like making a big deal about it. Brought me and my friend up through the line, like pulled us out of line, brought us through. We showed our IDs. She brought us into the bar, and then brought us up to the bar and bought us our first round of drinks. Oh my god. My friend and I were cracking up. We were like, no way did that, like, we caused that. Like, that was our blackout drunk ass's fault that that purse went missing. We just brought it back feeling like shit. And then she thinks that, like, really, like, I accidentally just was drunk and grabbed it thinking it was mine. It looks nothing like mine. I don't even think I had a purse half the time. I think I had like a lanyard with my car key and house key on it, and then maybe like a fucking debit card either in the back of my phone case or like a little wallet that I brought out. Like I was so disheveled. I'm always so disheveled, but I it would have not been a common mistake for me to grab someone's purse thinking it was my own. Like that's just something I had to come up with because I felt bad. But just to be brought up through the whole line, brought up to the bar, and then the first round of drinks was on her for returning it. And I think she was like, honestly, she was just appreciative that everything was still in there. I mean, we had the Apple Wallet, the wallet, everything, nothing was touched. That girl could check her statements, like nothing was used, and just a mistake. And we were like, huh, maybe we should be taking bags more often if we get this special line treatment to get to the front of the bar and get our drink spot. But that is one of my all time favorite stories because that's such like a me thing to happen. Like I caused the chaos and then I got free drinks and no wait in line out of the chaos that I created. But I still have that video on Snapchat. I'll have to post it as a memory, maybe, on Snapchat for the podcast episode today of just the shadows of me running down the road going, "We didn't do anything." But I love that story. I love that story. Next story doesn't involve me necessarily doing anything, just something that I witnessed one time walking home from the bars, which, if you are not familiar with the Kalamazoo area, between the hours of like 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., dude, there's some weird ass fucking shit that goes on. And I get that it happens in every college town, but I think there was something in the Kalamazoo air. You guys, they called it the zoo for a reason. Like, shit was just wild all the time. There was a very heavy gang presence as well in Kalamazoo, so sometimes walking to the bar at night, walking home from the bar at night, you could just see something crazy, something sus happening. We had gangs break into parties before, house parties, frat houses, everything. Like, there's just a heavy presence. So you never knew what you were getting into walking around at that time. So I'm so happy a friend was with me at this time, so that I have another like witness to this account that happened. But it's something I still talk about and say to this day because it was so fucking random to see. We're walking back and we hear like people chanting. And immediately at first I'm thinking like, unfortunately something gang related is happening. It was like 2:30 in the morning. It's like you see far, far down distance this house that like a bunch of people are at. And you could always tell the noise difference between like a party and something else. And I was like, something weird is going on, but we're just gonna keep walking. So this friend and I keep going. The chants are getting louder. The people are getting louder, and it's literally dead quiet everywhere else on the street besides this one house. As we get closer, we hear that they're going, "Moose off the roof, moose off the roof," and my friend and I are like, "Are they saying moose, as in like the animal, like moose off the roof?" We're like, "What the hell?" And as we get closer, like now approaching the front of the house, there is like 15 people on the roof of this house and like 20 to 25 people in the yard down below, like clearing out a space. And the 15 people on the roof have this enormous moose head, like wall mount. And you guys know sometimes those, like the ones of deer, can be huge, but this one was like 100 times the size of a deer. The antlers alone were like enormous. It was a huge moose head. And they're like, "Moose off the roof, moose off the roof." And then all of a sudden, we see these group of people on the roof all together push this fucking moose head off the roof and it falls onto the ground. And everyone gathers around the moose head and they're like, "Moose off the roof." And they're like stomping on the moose. They're like pouring beer in the moose's mouth and they're like, "Moose off the roof, moose off the roof." And then the people on the roof are like climbing off the roof to come onto the ground and they're all like jumping in circles like fucking little jumping beans around this moose. And my friend and I are like, so we just witnessed that. Like, that was, again, at 2:30 in the morning walking back from a night of drinking. I felt like I was in a fever dream. And it's one of the moments that I wish I was recording because I don't even think I'm accurately telling how fucking funny it was to witness these 15 college students push this enormous mounted moose head off the roof while chanting "moose off the roof," and then everyone just starts pouring beer on it when it falls and they're like, "Yeah, moose off the roof," and like screaming and jumping all over it. My friend and I are like, "All right, well, we're just going to keep walking and continuing on. I guess that's better than the gang experience I was anticipating." But we did just see a moose get beer poured in its mouth after being shoved off a roof. So that was interesting. You never know what you were going to see in Kalamazoo at any point in time, ever. My last story for you. Again, I like to preface it by saying, this is why I end the episodes all the time by saying be safe. Obviously, if you have been following along this long or know me in real life or know me in person, I am not an advocate for drinking and driving. I am someone who made many mistakes as a college student to get behind the wheel after some drinks when I shouldn't have. and I learned my lesson many a times. This is one of the lessons that I learned. Um, so don't take the story and run with it that I think this is okay to do. I'm again sharing past experiences that I've learned from. I Uber now, or I Uber now, I walk, or I don't drink. I I don't even drink a decimal percentage compared to what I do in college. But again, like I said, if you are new or if you need a reminder, I was not a very responsible person in college, so I did make that mistake. And one of these times was leaving this other bar in Kalamazoo. I had a few drinks. I was not blacked out. I was not terrible, but I definitely should not have been driving. And we were heading back to my apartment, and it was winter. So I am blaming a little bit of this story on the conditions. Thank you very much. Um, but driving back to my apartment complex when I was going, like nearing the complex, kind of hard to describe, but one long road. At the end of the road, you turn into the complex. So even at the end of the road, I'm not in the complex, but I'm like in the territory. There's no other houses or anything. And I went to turn into the complex, probably a little too quickly, which is where the alcohol came in. And I slipped on a patch of ice, went completely up a curb, and absolutely fucked up the underneath of my car. The tire, I think it's called the axle, not a mechanic, but whatever that shit is underneath the car that like aligns the car was fucked. But then I remembered we still had a friend that I wanted to go see that lived in a different part of Kalamazoo. I had a couple of my friends with me in the cars. We were leaving the bar, and I was like, "No, this car can definitely make it, right?" So we started driving. You guys, my car, the wheel is like turned in. Something with the alignment is so fucked. I couldn't go over like 25 miles an hour, and the whole time the car was like, "Arr, arr." Like every time I tried to move or go, it was making the most horrible sounds, most scary sounds. But I was like determined to get to this friend's house. That's the other thing too. After a couple drinks, if my mind was set on doing something, you literally weren't going to change it, unfortunately. So, fucked up car or not, which is also where the alcohol comes into play, because if I was sober and I fucked up my car like that, I would not have continued to drive it. I would have put it in park, and I would have been like, damn, this really fucking sucks. We'll have to deal with this in the morning. No, I continued to drive on. So drive to the friend's house, do what we need to do there, have my friends there. Everyone says hello. Okay, cool. We're starting to drive back. As we were driving back, my apartment complex in college was right across from campus. But obviously, there's a couple main roads in between. I was like, you guys, this car is not going to make it like a second further. I think the wheel is like disintegrated now. I think we are basically riding on the rim of the wheel. The axle, again, I don't know if that's the right term, but the bar underneath is like completely fucked. Like you could just tell. You could just tell. So I had to pull the car into the campus parking lot because it was just like if I would have kept driving it to the apartment complex, which was probably less than half mile away with a couple turns, I think we would have got stuck in the middle of the road. My other fear was that we were gonna get stopped. Like if a cop was like, "Huh, that's pretty weird that their front tire is turned in fucking horizontally and they can't go above 25 miles an hour. What's going on there?" And they would have stopped and been like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then I would have, had a couple drinks that might have put me a little over the legal limit, and then I get arrested. So I pull into the campus parking lot, and I'm like, I can't take this any further. I'm for everyone's safety, we're just gonna leave the car here. And I put a note on it. I remember putting, "Please don't tow my car," with a sad face. And I put it on the windshield, and I was like, we're all just gonna hope and pray that it's still here in the morning. And we had to walk back to my complex. It was just a bad walk. I walked to class every single day. Well, okay, no, because I didn't go to class every day. When I went to class, I walked. So I'm not saying it was a far walk, but I did have to leave the car there. And then the next morning going to get the car. Thankfully, it was still there, but it absolutely, of course, had to be towed to a shop. And they looked at the damage, and I remember it being about $700 to $800 worth of damage. Actually, it might have been more because I had, when there's a car issue, you can't just get one tire. You have to get two new front, two new back, whatever it is. So I had to get two new tires, and the hole underneath had to be redone. So that's my story of being very incorrect and continue to drive a wrecked car to go see a friend that I shouldn't have even been driving to in the first place on the roads with a car going 20 miles an hour on like a 40 plus mile an hour road, and it's just like you can just hear metal in the wheel screeching, and then eventually, like I said, the wheel just felt like we were riding on the rim. Like it was like dun 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 dun, like super super fucking bumpy. And that was an expensive lesson to learn, very much so. I tried to blame as much as I could on the ice, but that probably wasn't 100% the fact. But that's another little life lesson of why I like to be safe. I tell you to be safe at the end of every podcast because those mistakes that I made in college, I'm very aware of the dangers and the expenses that can come with that. So that was one of my many. Sober or not, you guys, my car situation's always fucked up. I swear to God. Like, I can't have a stable car for the life of me. So there's a combination story for you of another car issue and then a lesson learned, honestly. But those are my three. The next time I do this, I am very much so one of the three I'll be talking about next time. Just to, keep you updated, keep you focused on the funny stories, will be the time I stab someone's car tire. That one's a longer story, so I couldn't fit it in this one. And the purse story and the driving story kind of both together, like, amount to the tire stabbing. So I didn't want to throw too much at you at once, okay? But the next time I do this will be the time that I stab someone's tire. Rightfully so. I'm going to say rightfully fucking so. But that'll be in the next college series episode. Okay, to end the episode, three important notes. One, Taylor Swift announced she's releasing a new album. Thank you. That and Sabrina Carpenter's new album's also coming out, and it's news that maybe Chappell Roan might have something out. So collectively, maybe these three can fix the world right now. Be very, very appreciative, but I'm excited for all of those. Number two, a big one. I'm sure we all have seen across all over the internet right now what is happening with gay marriage rights. It is disgusting, it is awful, and it is exhausting that once again rights are being put up for debate that should not be at all. It is very tiring to live in a country that promotes free this, free that, free this, free that, especially freedom of religion. You can practice any religion that you want, but hey, we want to make sure everyone conforms to Christianity. It's really annoying, very frustrating, and I'm just going to try to keep the vibes positive and high and hope that it doesn't get overturned. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we keep getting knocked decades back, decades back, decades back with everything that we continue to have to fight for in this fucking country. So I just encourage you to stay up to date and stay knowledgeable on that. Do what you can, even as an ally. Absolutely do everything that you can. Like I said, to either stay knowledgeable, participate, share those stories on TikTok, on Instagram, because a lot of communities in our country need everyone's help, not just the help of people in those communities. So love always wins. We're going to stick with that. If it gets overturned, we just have to fight harder. It was not overturned. It was brought into law once before. So if it gets overturned, we can do it again. Just might have to wait another 3.5 years, unfortunately. And the last thing I want to say is that next week's episode will feature a special guest. Special guest again that I'm so excited for. And this special guest has been on here before. Yes, he has. He. That's your hint. I've only had one other male guest on here. That is your hint. He will be back for next week's episode, and we're going to come up with some crazy shit to say. So again, I thank you for all the love, all the support. I know my little medication photo thing actually drove a little bit of interest on TikTok and quite a bit of interest on Snapchat. If you found my YouTube or Spotify through that Snapchat post, through that TikTok post, whatever, I appreciate you being here. I would love for you to check out any of my YouTube videos. YouTube is the hardest one for me to gain traction on. I don't. There's no hashtags for me to do reposting, kind of things like that. So, if you did like this video, like any of the other videos, and you subscribe, I love you from the bottom of my heart. I am always working on making this podcast better through means of recording, working on saving up for a better microphone, recording the visuals. I currently use my iPhone right now, so I'm trying to save up as much as I can through these extremely hard times that I found myself in. So the savings not going as quickly as I would like. But one day I'll have an actual recording setup to make the quality better. If you find me on Snapchat and you follow me on there, Spotify. If you find me on Spotify and you listen on there, appreciate that as well. I'm also on Apple Podcasts. And like I mentioned, on any other platform, social media platform, you'll be able to find me on as well. I'm always extremely grateful for any love and support that anyone is able to show. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I love you guys, all of you, from the bottom of my heart. I hope you have a fun weekend. I hope you have a safe weekend. Let me reiterate the Uber emphasis once again. Either don't drink, either walk or don't drive. But if you are drinking this weekend, do it safely. Do not cause yourself harm, other people harm, or hundreds to thousands of dollars in damage to any of your vehicles. There's my public service announcement again for you. Like I said, I love you all so much. Thank you for being here, and I will see you here same time, same place next week.